Yo. Okay, as promised, this is pretty much the first video. Maybe it's kind of the second video, but it's pretty much the first video where I'm going to be going through the process of deconstructing this SSL SiX right here. So, I've been recording with it for weeks, but today I just got my very shitty USB. Oh, you can't even. So now it's time to deconstruct from recording, transferring to my mixing environment. So, in order to do this effectively, well, at some point, this mic, I'm currently going through here. I'm going to have to switch it so that it's going directly through my interface. So that will happen at some point, but it's going to take a bit of time. Technically, I recommend turning this whole thing off before you just start unplugging stuff. That's generally what I recommend, but for the sake of this video, it's going to be mostly on as I unplug stuff. So you might hear some clicking, clacking. So this was my guitar pedals. Getting out of here. This is my synth 1. Get out of here. My drum machine 2. Get out of here. My mic cable. Cool. Out the back, my EXT2. And now all I got left here are my output cables and my power supply. Which my power supply seems like it's kind of tight in there, which is cool. Because now I got my SSL kind of down here. Yo. What's up? So, in my past video, I took apart my SSL SiX from my recording setup. Had all my mic cables and my quarter inches, my synthesizers and everything plugged in. Took all that out, power out everything. Because I'm going to be plugging everything up to mix from my DAW. And I'm going to show you how I do it. First, we got this interface. This interface is a Tascam 16x08. It's got 8 mic preamps on the front there with knobs and headphones and stuff. I don't really care about any of that. I have, got a USB, MIDI in and out, and then we got 8 ins and then 8 outs. So the 8 outs are the key in this situation because we need those 8 outs from the interface to go into the SiX so that we can send it from our DAW into the SSL and do all the processing and then send it back into this interface. And now we'll get into DB25. Cool, so this DB25 is actually, this one already has a Velcro on it, so let me pull that off for a sec. So here's what I do when I'm setting up my SSL. You can see the graph from SSL is actually lined up in the video, in the bottom right. So here's the connector, very scary. Looks like some old computer thing that nobody, some printer thing, standard that nobody wanted to use ever. But here we are now, plugging it into my $1,500 music instrument thing. And all you do is, I'm going to start with the ins, actually. So you just find, I'm going to start with the out. So you find the out, which is the left one. And then what you want to do is just kind of hold it in there. Sometimes you got to push and just make sure that the little thumb screw is actually finding its slot. And going in there nice and tight. And remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Cool. The first DB25 is in. So once I get that, get some Velcro straps or some, what they would call, what they do to zip ties. So you can zip tie some of these cables because Yeah, this can be annoying and a lot of cable management to handle. So first I like to organize them by number, so they got the little numbers on them. I would just say that, okay, so this is a cheap interface. I think this interface I got for like $150 at a used store. And this isn't what I normally use, but it's much easier to, my other one is ADAT, so it's slightly more confusing. This one, just has outs, it goes in. So, the thing you might want to consider is like the AD conversion quality, especially like using a hardware piece like this. You can kind of tell the difference, but it's really subtle doing ABs between like different conversion with it. For this use case and for most of my music, you can hear my music on my channel. It's not like high fidelity, or I'm not like a super professional. So this is like, I'm fine using this AD conversion. It doesn't really matter. You can hear like my music has dynamics and like it's nice to listen to. So that's really what matters with music. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4's already here, 4. So we started with the outs actually. So what we can do is look at our graph now, and we look at, so we see input D type and output D type at the top. So the output D type, that means the main left insert send, and then main right insert send. So that means these are sending out from this master channel, and then it's being controlled by this insert button. That's 1 and 2. So I have a limiter in my rack. So and I could also have a bus compressor and a lunchbox. So what I could do is actually take these two, run it to a bus compressor, and then that'll allow me to like be doing my mix in real time, be listening, and then hit my insert, and then hear out sounding through like additional processing, my entire master. It's a pretty beneficial thing. It can also be used for routing. I don't know if that's smart, but it could, it's kind of like an alternative output button just by hitting this. It's like an alt output. So that's kind of a cool idea. That's 1 and 2. And then, so I'm going to set those aside. And then 3 and 4 are channel 1 and 2 insert send. So those will allow me to control this insert, which when I'm doing live mixes of any type of music, I like having my 1176 compressor right here, and then I'm gonna have my Ampeg bass amp actually on this insert, so I can be able to add some color, and that thing has like a crazy noise like component to it as well. So I need the 3 and 4 put aside so that I can be plugging those in, and I'll be showing actually exactly how to do those as well. And then 5 and 6 here. Are the main left output and the main right output. So these are, my homie DeAndre was actually asking me in the YouTube comment like how to route it back into your interface. And if you got DB25s, this is a way you can do it, is take this 5 and 6 and actually plug it into another one of these outputs. So you see I already had these main outputs. So this is actually duplicating that main output signal. So I could run this to like a tape machine. I could run this to a cassette machine. I could run this to another interface and record into another computer. I could record this into, or send that into like so many other things, which this is a really awesome feature that I'm glad that they outed, an extra output. So, and then we also have these are alternative monitor outputs. So these are ones that I don't need, and these are actually the ones that I had Velcroed up at the beginning, so I'm just going to go ahead and Velcro those up again. Because I don't really, and that's what you can do, is also have your alternative monitor go somewhere, to just add that extra flexibility. And so, I talked about this being a cheap interface. These cables are pretty cheap too. If you're on YouTube looking at SSL shit, people are like, yeah, these cables are expensive. They are. I think I got these for like $25 for each of the DB25, so it was like $50 for a pair of them. And these ones are like the lowest quality cheap Amazon ones, and you can see like the joint is really bad, and like if you pull too hard you can probably just like tear the shit out of that. But I just take good care of it, and I really haven't noticed, you know, I also have like really expensive cables and like use those all the time, and I don't totally like hear a difference. So you know, screw it, these are cheaper. So, you know, for my dude DeAndre, like spend $50, get a couple of these, and it'll make your mixing, if you have any outboard gear. If you don't have any outboard gear, like it's probably not worth it. The only benefit if you don't have any outboard gear is getting like alternative monitor outputs, I think. Because then as we go on to the next DB25, we see that these are the insert return, the 3/4 insert return, the main left and right master return, which is coming in here, and then we have these returns coming in on the 3 and 4 cables, and then we have the alt outputs. So that's a different part, and something I'm actually not going to be using in this at all, because of this interface only has 8 outs. So that means like 1, 2, and then these are 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6 here, and then 7 and 8. So I can use the first 2 external inputs as like pretty much all I'm even capable of using from my interface. But when I do my ADAT stuff, yes, I use the alt inputs, and I can use these extra external inputs to get a total of 12 channels to sum into, which is really awesome. Okay. Well, that's pretty much the breakdown of the DB25s. I went through what it would look like to plug in all of those 1/4-inch cable snake into this and then into my interface in that other video with no talking, but I'm about to do it again with talking. Let's go.